I don't think
That's
so.
okay,
I think
okay.
Looking like some mad people. Well, just to us, because we're not, I don't see us anywhere. So, nobody will. Oh, I see us.
I think we are now.
Wow.
Welcome to another episode of the Caribbean Edge. We truly appreciate you tuning in and you sharing us right now on your Facebook page so your friends can see us as well. So we want to start tonight's episode by welcoming Mayor Wayne Messam to the Caribbean Edge. Welcome, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Long
coming.
overdue.
And my name is Dawn
Thanks for
Wilson.
coming. Thanks for coming. I'm Cheryl Ann Marshall.
So welcome. One of the first things we want to say is we were recently recognized by I Am Hope Foundation. The founder, Tassan Phillips, recognized the Caribbean Edge as being one of the top talk shows online. So big up to Tassan for recognizing the Caribbean Edge and for everyone that voted for us, because we understand that it was our viewers that actually voted and made this happen. And we got a lot of comments after saying they didn't even know about it, and had they known, they would have voted as well. So we truly appreciate you, and we always say to you, thanks for being the best part of the Caribbean Edge. So thank you for that. Hopefully everyone had a great Thanksgiving, and we're going to dive in and find out who you are, Mr. Messam. So tell us about you. What would you like to share with our viewers?
Well, for your viewing audience who may not know me, I'm Wayne Messam, the mayor of Miramar, Florida's 13th largest city. Very progressive city in South Florida. I'm humbled to serve 150,000 residents. Very diverse community with a very large Caribbean American population. Being the first black elected official, mayor actually, in the city of Miramar, it's not only an honor, but I think for your audience, it's quite fitting to be able to sit here with a bit of humility and as well as pride to know that one of our own is serving in this capacity.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
And I understand that Miramar is one of the fastest growing cities as well.
Yes, well, at one
right?
point the city was one of the fastest growing. We are almost built out at this point. We still have a significant amount of construction and development going on. We are now transitioning to redevelopment, particularly in our east side of town. So there's a lot of activity going on. Miramar, we currently right now have one of the fastest growing economies in the country. We have more Fortune 500 companies than any city in the Tri-County area, with a significant production of high-paying jobs. So we're really excited about where we're going as a city. Ever since becoming the mayor, we've added nearly 2,000 new jobs to the city of Miramar, with even more coming online. And I'm really committed in terms of ensuring that the city of Miramar not only produces good paying jobs, but jobs that continue to be progressive and relevant to the business community, so that we can remain a vibrant city.
Wow.
Wow.
What is it that made you decide to get into being a mayor?
Okay.
Well, what is it that motivated you? What is it why did you decide to do that?
Well, people are surprised. I get asked that question often, and people are surprised when I say that it wasn't necessarily planned. You know, I've just always been one of those individuals that always strived to serve and to do things that haven't necessarily been done. You know, my wife and I, Angela, we moved to Miramar almost 20 years ago to start our family. That's where we raised our 3 children. We're all now in college right now, and we just wanted to get involved in the city of Miramar. So
where did you move from?
I graduated from college. My wife was a consultant in the Washington, D.C. area. We met at Florida State University. I played football at Florida State University, a brief stint with the Cincinnati Bengals. I joined my wife in the Northern Virginia area, Fairfax, Virginia, where we were there for a couple of years, and then we moved to South Florida, where we decided to nest our roots. But I grew up not too far away from here, only an hour away in South Bay. My father, years ago, was a contract sugarcane cutter. Like many of your viewing audience may know, some relatives or maybe even their own parents went through that experience. He came to this country from Manchester, Jamaica, for about 16 years, cutting sugarcane annually. And I was the first of my parents' children born here. Myself and my younger brother, my older brother, and two older sisters were born in Manchester, Jamaica. So just, living off their legacy, my father and my mother, hardworking individuals who raised 5 successful children here in the United States. And my wife and I, we, nested our roots here. We own a construction management company. I volunteered on some of the community boards at the city of Miramar. Then one thing led to another. I ran for city commission in 2011, was elected with a very close race. I decided to run at the last minute after being, encouraged to run after serving in many roles in the city. On the Planning and Zoning Board, I'm a former chair of Broward County Small Business Development Advisory Board to the Broward County Commission. And then after serving 4 years as commissioner, I just saw things in the city where there was so much potential. Having a young family myself, and the city continuing to grow and seeing the potential, I knew that Miramar had outgrown the bedroom community feel that my predecessor and some of the commission at the time felt the city still was. So I just brought that message to the voters, and was able to win a decisive race to win in 2015. In March, I was just reelected with nearly 90% of the vote.
Wow.
So it shows that we are working well with the community, and they have confidence in my first 4-year term as the mayor, and I look forward to the next 4 years serving the residents of Miramar.
So you're enjoying it?
Yes, I'm having a lot of fun. I wouldn't do it if I did not. We're doing we're doing a lot of exciting things in the city of Miramar. Being a progressive individual, I try to inspire and encourage individuals to think beyond just the minimum. There are a lot of issues that are out there in terms of people who are looking for jobs. By the way, Miramar has one of the lowest unemployment rates in the state right now. We far beat the national average, but we know that some folks still need a job. But there's a lot of discussion about $15 an hour minimum wage, which is something that is needed for individuals who aren't making that amount. But I try to push beyond just the minimum. I try to inspire our youth to get their education, get involved with our local corporations so that they can be the next CEO, so that they can be the next inventor, so that they can be the ones who can see themselves going off to college or serving in our armed forces, but they see Miramar as a community and a place where they can raise their own children, because we have great jobs, great communities, great schools, and we're well on our way in doing that.
Okay. So you mentioned athletics scholarship, right?
Yes.
You were a state champion?
Yes, I was a state champion in high school.
For football?
Track.
Track?
Came very close in football, but I was a hurdler and jumper in track. So I was very good in both sports, football and track, and did both at Florida State University.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So I didn't know about you before.
Okay.
That's my confession. And so a lot of our viewers have probably never seen you before. So we welcome you to share everything with us and for being candid.
Yeah.
So the first time I saw you was because you were involved local community event, which was our Council General, Oliver Mayer, doing the 5K run.
Yes, okay.
Were you the winner?
I was not the winner. I can tell you I was the first mayor to win. But I finished. I think I finished in the top 5. I think I finished.
You look like you were
5,
going to win. I was nowhere near the front, but I was nowhere near the back either.
Had I won, they would have said the race was rigged. So,
There's no way.
So tell us, because I think you're known for running. There are a lot of pictures of you running, and fitness is obviously something you care about. How did you get involved in fitness? Has this been just your lifestyle since high school?
I've always been active as an athlete, as a professional athlete, and I just know that one thing I do know, and that when you're healthy, when you take care of your vessel, you know, when you feel good, you look good. When you look good, there's just a certain aura about yourself. You have a happy demeanor. So a happy community is a prosperous community, and I want Miramar to be the fittest city, you know, in Florida and perhaps in the United States. So I have several initiatives. I do an annual 5K fitness fair is coming up on the first Saturday of March, where we have a competitive timed 5K, and then it's followed by a fitness fair. We do it in conjunction with Joe DiMaggio Children's Hospital Memorial. Miami Dolphins has been a sponsor, Aetna Healthcare. We have fitness demonstrations, so we have local gyms from the community to do various demonstrations, including yoga, Zumba,
Pilates.
Well, not necessarily Pilates, but that some of the gyms do offer that. And one of the fun parts is one of the gyms, Body by Lolita, that actually do competitive bodybuilding. So they bring out some of their athletes to do poses.
Wow.
We have a cooking demonstration. Last year we had Chef Tia, who's a Haitian American chef, and then the year before we had Chef Irie. To show the community on how to cook healthy meals, and we do free health screenings. It's a great event, and it grows and grows every year. So we have a walk. We have a 3K walk that folks can do for those who aren't necessarily runners, and then we have the 5K for the running community.
In March?
It's in March.
When?
So I look forward to both of you. The first Saturday in March.
Oh.
Yes, so every year it's the first Saturday in March. So I look forward to having you both.
Okay, sounds like fun.
At least you can walk it if you don't want to run it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Of course.
I thought when I entered this race, I thought I would just walk because I hadn't ran in years. I played volleyball, and I surprised myself because I ran.
And you told me you ran through the whole race.
So once a runner, always a runner.
Yeah, I guess. So thank you for everyone that motivates and definitely promotes fitness and health. And I agree with you. It makes you feel differently, act differently, make better decisions because, you know, you start your day just, you know, more focused, I believe. Yes. So tell us a little bit about the family. We know you have twin girls and one boy.
Yes.
And your wife of 20 years or...
See, why are you trying to get me in trouble? Right. Well, actually...
many years, not 20 years, many years.
Actually, next week we'll be married for 22 years.
Okay.
Congratulations.
We've dated since we were 19. We met in college on campus at Florida State University. And we've been blessed with 3 wonderful children. Our son is a senior at FAU, and our twin daughters are sophomores at FIU, at Florida International University. So we're really excited about that.
Interesting. They stayed fairly local.
Yes. They could have chosen to go anywhere, but they decided to stay local. My only rule was that they had to leave the house. So they all live on campus to get the true college experience. So we're empty nesters and enjoying it.
Well, congrats. And then you look forward to them coming home.
Yes, they were so we just saw them over the Thanksgiving break, and now they're back in school and doing their finals, and we trust they will continue to do well and get great marks for the finals.
Wow, nice.
So I want to go back a little bit about your parents.
Okay.
I read your post that you made yesterday, I believe.
Okay.
And it was well written,
Thank
talking about your family. It took me back. I was very surprised because I haven't read anything quite like that. Just the way you talked about your dad and the sugar cane, and your mom was also part of that as well.
Yes.
And she actually, delivered food or, served food to the people in the field. And this wasn't that long ago, because you're only 45?
Yes.
Right. So you would think it's like, when you think of these things, you think generations and generations
Yes.
ago. So it was really nice to read it, because it made me realize that this wasn't that long ago.
It was not.
Right? And then the pride that you spoke about your parents, and them playing the dominoes and inviting all these different people from different Caribbean islands to the house, and you just never knew you were poor.
Yeah.
Because you had that rich culture.
Yes.
Behind you, and the kids teasing you because of your parents, or you had the strong dialect.
Well, my parents, not myself,
Right.
because I, growing up
America,
in,
right.
so
your parents had that. So
Yes.
would you call it bullying? Because I was curious about that, or it was just different.
Well, I think from the outside, observers would call it bullying.
Bullying, yeah.
But I didn't see it as bullying. I just saw it as ignorance.
Right.
Because when you have a certain understanding of who you are and a certain pride about yourself, things that people may say that are negative towards you, it has no impact on you.
Right.
It's only when you are in a vulnerable state, when you're not sure of who you are, when you haven't been validated. I had been validated ever since I was a kid,
Right.
and growing up. So I know that that those words, those adolescent jokes and teasing were not necessarily anything that controlled who I was or controlled my destiny. So,
Or affected
yes,
you
it affected
in any
me at
way.
all.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the personal goals you have for 2020?
I think I know it's very common for those for I guess people in general in society to be resolved about what they want to do in the upcoming year, or set New Year's resolutions. I'm not one that really set necessarily annual resolutions, because I'm currently living out, goals that have been set, years ago. So they continue to evolve, but it's not something that, from year to year I hit a reset.
Right.
Because I'm living a continuum. Like right now, like folks are getting excited about the next year. I'm already thinking about next summer, next fall, and planning. Because when you plan, proper planning prevents piss poor performance. You don't let the activities of life just sway you from left to right. I think that one of my favorite sayings is that is this rated G or PG-13?
This is rated adult.
Okay, so one of my sayings is that success is intentional. Shit just doesn't happen. You have to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? So when you set your goals, you have to surround yourself with get the right people on the bus that's going to help you achieve those goals, and be very committed to that cause. So, but 2020 is going to be a very active year, not only from a professional standpoint on my private life, but also from my civic service as the mayor of Miramar, as well as the upcoming elections that are coming up in 2020 is very active. So
Did you see Kamala dropped out?
yes, I heard yesterday that she
I got a notification from Huffington Post. Kamala Harris has dropped out of the running. Is it because she wasn't able to raise enough? I think.
Well, I can't speak for her campaign.
Right.
I only,
Right.
obviously having my own experience as a candidate, every campaign is different. Every campaign has its own goals. I think that she will have an opportunity to share her story at some point in terms of, of what happened. Obviously, being one of the one of the candidates, especially being the only African American or black female, in the race. Some folks may see that as, disappointing in terms of, from a diversity standpoint, in terms
Yes.
of options.
Yes.
But it really depends, because some people supported her campaign candidacy, some people did not,
Right.
So it really depends on where you fall, on that. But I think that obviously the field of candidates and myself being one of those candidates, I think that it was a very broad and diverse group. Everyone did not necessarily get the same, coverages as others, but I
Right.
think though that America, and especially on the Democratic side, was in position to see a various group of candidates with different voices in different positions.
Do you think you'll eventually run for presidency?
Well, will I jump in again? I will see. I'll see.
Because you did at some point in time?
Yes, so, cause,
Yes.
it was a very, and I shared my story when I announced with my candidacy. If you saw my launch video, you saw how I talked about, I ran because I felt that the American dream is slipping away for too many individuals. And when I think about what attracted my parents here was opportunity. And every person in America does not have the same opportunity that attracted my parents here to this country. So I'm living their American dream. So I ran to give that opportunity back to Americans, to have individuals to have a second chance at the American dream. There's issues I pushed in the campaign that other candidates jumped on board on. For example, I was the first to propose a plan to forgive the $1.6 trillion in outstanding student loan debt. Some of the candidates like Warren and Sanders were talking about the high cost of higher education. But I talked about, okay, yes, we need to address that, but what about the outstanding debt that's out there that's really harming a lot of Americans and stopping them from achieving that American dreams, whether they want to start a family, start a business, or to buy a house. You had on average about $40,000 in outstanding student loan debts, anywhere from $400 to $500 a month in paying student loan debt. You're basically mortgaging your professional life, career, to pay off these 30, 40, 50, in some cases $100,000 in outstanding student loan debt. So my proposal was submitted as an economic stimulus, so that if we forgive that student loan debt, worked with those states that help to either make higher education free or low cost, incentivize them to, and give them more funding to support that, give more funding to federal Pell Grant opportunities. Have corporations put more skin in the game, because they are the ones who benefit from an educated workforce, but yet they sit back and benefit from you taking a student loan, or your child, and they have no skin in the game. So I proposed a slight payroll tax to the employer that would have added billions of dollars annually to help fund higher education moving forward. So many of the candidates soon followed with a similar plan. I know that moving forward, that should a Democrat win the presidency, that student loan debt forgiveness will be one of those priorities that will get addressed.
So where do you stand then on gun control?
Gun control, I've been on the forefront with the gun control. In fact, I was one of the leading mayors in other cities to sue the state of Florida, which we won that case because of a very punitive state statute that basically would, for example, if I as a mayor pass an ordinance or law in the city of Miramar that would regulate firearms or ammunition, the governor can remove me from office, personally fine me. I could be personally fined $5,000. I can't get legal representation from our city attorney to fight the lawsuit. A very punitive statute, which was basically, it was an NRA-backed statute with one purpose, and that was to chill elected officials from even thinking about passing regulations. The state law preempts us anyway as a local municipality in regulating, but that just went overboard. So we sued the state of Florida, myself, several other elected officials in some cities. We won the case. We just learned that the state of Florida will try to appeal that ruling, which we expected, but we think in the end we will prevail. So in terms of my stance on guns, is that it's a Second Amendment right. We have the right to bear arms, but I do think that certain types of weapons should not be accessible, like these AR-15s and assault-style weapons that are used that can just kill dozens of people in a matter of seconds. Those things should not be on the street. I think there need to be resources in terms of ensuring that those individuals who shouldn't have guns should not have those guns. Those who may suffer or may be impaired with mental health. And if you have a certain criminal background or on a terror watch list, you shouldn't be able to have weapons. So just some common sense gun control measures that we can put in place to at least to help mitigate some of these issues that we're seeing currently right now.
I agree with you. Nobody's trying to take away your right to bear arms, but assault rifles, it's just not even necessary for
Exactly.
the normal person to be walking
Yes.
around in possession of.
And I'm just going in while you guys
To see if
chit chat to see if
anybody's
anyone's made comments
questioning
for us.
If they
Or
wanna
for you, I
ask
should
anything.
say.
So okay, so I'll ask you, was your wife fully on board with you getting into politics, per se?
My wife has been very supportive in everything that I've done. We basically have grown up together. We've known each other for all of our adult lives. We've built, our companies together. We've raised our families together. I know it's not easy, for her, but in terms of, I don't have a stronger supporter than her. Whenever I'm running for election, she's a leader there, and we're partners. So when you get me, you get her.
Right.
Very
good. Very good. And what about the children? Are they also as supportive as she
Oh
is?
yes, I mean they, that's kind of all they've known. So since 2011, so since they've been, kids, since they've been, in 2011, my children were, 12 and 11 years old respectively. So they've kind of grown up, at least through their teenage years, their tween years and teenage years to adulthood, seeing their father and mother very active in the community.
Very good. Very, very good.
Okay, so I don't see any comments. If you guys have questions, please tune in, because this is a time to ask these questions. So you do have an expo coming up, right? An aviation expo?
Yes, this weekend, this will be the third annual Mayor Messam's Aviation Expo. Miramar has a very large aviation sector. Spirit Airlines is headquartered in Miramar, but we have many other aviation consultant firms, mechanic and repair companies, Broward colleges. Air Traffic Control School is located in the city of Miramar, right behind City Hall, and the Broward Miramar branch library on the third floor. And my goal is to ensure that the future of aviation is strong in the city of Miramar, and as I mentioned earlier, about inspiring our youth about not thinking about $15 an hour jobs, minimum wage jobs, to think about some of the lucrative careers that are right here in our city. And aviation literally leaves no one behind. You can be a very bright and smart child and go on to be an aeronautical engineer. There is an opportunity for you in Miramar in that career, and we want to expose that to you. If you're a child who necessarily doesn't want to go to college per se, but I like to fix things. I want to have a vocational trade.
Right.
Instead of being a car mechanic, you can be an aircraft mechanic. And these are very lucrative and high-paying jobs, very competitive fields. And we have many of these corporations here, and they're all going to be at the regional park at the Miramar Amphitheater. There's 2 days. The event is 2 days. The first day on Friday is for Broward County schools. We'll have over 2,000 children from Broward County schools will come to the amphitheater. We transformed the amphitheater at Miramar Regional Park into an aviation experience where we have the security check zone, they get their ticket, they get to meet pilots, flight attendants, different vendors, flight schools, and it's a really great experience. And on Saturday, December 7th, starting at 9 a.m., we open it to the public. It's a free event, the same experience. If you want to see inside of the Broward Sheriff's Office helicopter, you can go inside and take pictures. We'll have drones. We have Broward County's VEX robotics program. There will be 26 teams that will do a scrimmage getting ready for a robotics competition where these kids, they build their robots, they program their robots, and they compete. They program them to defeat each other in like a battle cage, and it was a big hit last year. So we expose kids to STEM opportunities, and we want them to know that there are many career opportunities, and the Aviation Expo is just one of the many programs that I make available to the public to prepare the next generation, because right now we have all of these companies. I want them to know that the City of Miramar and my office is committed to ensure that the next generation of their workforce as well as their leadership will soon be coming, and they'll be inspired to want to get in that sector because of one field trip or one Saturday morning they went to the amphitheater with their family and they saw a drone, or they saw a pilot, or they saw this engine part and got inspired and say, Mom, Dad, I want to be that when I grow up.
Yeah. Because a lot of times they don't know. A lot of times they're searching, they don't know what they want to do. And I think it's great to expose them to as much as possible so that they know that this is an option.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm all about. That's how I choose to serve. I do have certain events that are more cultural in nature, and so that the community can come together. But at the end of the day, after a party is over, it's over.
Yeah.
But when an aviation expo is over, it's not over.
No.
Because children they're inquisitive, they start setting goals, and then now they can start applying what they're learning in the classroom and see how it translates into what it can lead to in terms of a career option.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, because you're opening their minds.
Yes.
And we know as the generations come along, they're more creative and they can invent more as well.
Exactly. And the thing is I try to break these stereotypes, especially when you think about, children of color, and particularly if you take Caribbean children who may have, come to this country, born whether in Jamaica, Trinidad, or whatever, the parents move here, now they're in a foreign place, and they don't necessarily have the connection or the resources to make that transition. And we don't want kids to feel that they are not only vulnerable, but that they have opportunities, and someone who have a similar experience, similar background. That's why I share my story. That's why I share, my experience growing up in, as a first generation American, from Jamaican parents, and so that my story perhaps that some child can read my story, or a parent can read my story, and something that they can share with their children to help inspire them. I don't necessarily share it to bring a spotlight on myself.
Right.
I share it because some people may have this false thought that perhaps because of my humble beginnings that I don't have any value.
Right.
That I shouldn't have any pride because I didn't come from wealth.
Right.
And I think that is so far from the truth. And when individuals like myself, who just happens to be a mayor, who happens to be in the public light, when folks see that, well, he's just an average guy, he's just a normal guy, and in fact, a similar story as mine, because there's others out there who have a very similar experience, and it's nothing that they should be ashamed of, nothing that they should keep inside, but they should tell their story, because we all have similar experiences.
Yeah, I think the Caribbean pride, though, and in the people that I know, is so strong.
Yeah.
So you're right. It doesn't matter where you come from. It's that pride that we're filled with, and we all have these stories. They're all vastly different, and somehow it's created this inner strength and pride in us that just shines through. So yes, I totally agree. Sharing our stories definitely makes us who we are, and a better generation. Because I think in sharing my story, I'm able to improve my kids' story and their journey as well, and hopefully they'll pass it on as well.
Exactly.
We're all getting older.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And nothing's wrong with that. Nothing's wrong with that.
Nothing yet is wrong with it. But I work in healthcare, so I deal with a lot of clients that are, can't afford medication. And that's happening to even our generation as well. But as we get older, people don't have long-term care insurance because we can't afford it, right? You could barely afford it back then unless you were rich. Moreover now, so it's kind of getting scary when you're in the healthcare industry and you look what happens when I get to 70 and 80 and 90, because I never thought I'd get to where I am now this quickly.
Yes.
So my question to you is, how are you helping the elderly population within your community?
Well, one of the big needs in terms, along with healthcare, access to healthcare, is access to affordable housing. And Miramar has one of our opportunities for improvement is increasing our stock of affordable housing and workforce housing. In fact, Miramar about 2 years ago was the #1 least affordable city in the state. Because we don't have a HUD project in our city, we don't have public housing in our city. Everything is market rate. During that time when Miramar was under tremendous growth, all of the new developments, single family home developments, apartment communities were all market rate, and it's very unaffordable. We recently just entered into agreements with developers to bring on about 250 units for senior affordable housing. That should be online within the next couple of years after construction. And it will be able to provide accessible, affordable housing for our seniors. By making housing affordable for seniors, then now they have more of their income available to pay for their medications, to pay for their doctor visits, opposed to sitting in a situation where many of them are right now, where they literally have to choose, do I buy food or do I buy my medication that costs $300 per month? And it's a very, very difficult situation, and with the prevalence of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and so many other morbid conditions that's really impacting the quality of life. It's really a challenge, and that was really another reason why I was a candidate as well for presidency, because I think America, that in America, access to healthcare should be a civil right. Everyone should have access to whatever form it looks like. There's a lot of talk about Medicare for all. Whatever label you put on it, this country is going to have to decide that we should cover the cost for those who are uninsured. But I do believe in choice. If you have a employer-provided plan or a private plan that you are okay with and fine with and like it, you should be able to keep it. But if you don't like those plans, then you should be able to take your premiums over to whatever this government-provided plan that would come out of the from the federal government. I think everyone is saying Medicare because it's a known plan that's trusted, that does provide quality health care.
Been around forever.
So folks kind of know what to expect with that. So whatever it's called, I think that we as a country need to provide access to health care for everyone.
Yeah. I would personally like to see more done for the elderly, just between health fairs, more education on, you know, we touched on fitness, because I think the healthier you are, carry yourself throughout the years,
Yes.
the easier it will be for you to fight off
Yes.
a lot and last longer and need the doctors less in life. So I'm 100% on fitness, but I just would love to see more done. And then
in the city of Miramar, we have an award-winning senior program. We have 2 locations, one in West Miramar at the Sunset Lakes Community Center and one in East Miramar at our multi-service complex. It's the Southeast Focal Point Center that's providing services for our seniors.
Okay.
They get a lot of resources. These are active seniors who come, they take trips, they go shopping, they play dominoes, and we provide them transportation. We have a lot of social events for them to as they're enjoying their best years. We also are a conduit to other resources, whether it's federal resources, county or state resources that they may have. We also have an opportunity for some of our long-term residents who are seniors who would qualify for additional homestead exemption by the city of Miramar. So Broward County recently passed one as well. So they basically, if they lived in the city of Miramar for over, I think it's 25 years, they can apply for the homestead exemption, where they don't have to pay property taxes for their city portion of their tax bill. Another opportunity to reduce their monthly living expenses, our annual living expenses. So the city of Miramar is very active. In fact, we also have an adult daycare center. So if there's an adults in your home, particularly seniors, who can't be left home alone because we are middle class community, many families have found themselves caring for their aging parents, but they may be in a situation where they're not an active senior anymore and can't be left home. So our adult daycare centers, where they can bring them while they're off at work, they have the medical and social support during the day at our adult daycare center, and they pick them up after work and bring them back home. So,
I like that concept.
Yeah.
I do. I've been hearing a lot more about it lately, and I'm like, wow, it is. I mean, who won't take advantage of that when you have parents, you have to go to work, and you have parents that you have to take care of. So, I mean, I would love that.
And culturally, we're people who, nursing homes aren't our first choice.
Right. Exactly.
Other communities, they may put, their mother or grandparents in a nursing home, but our community does.
We don't know
that's
that.
Not our
That's
first.
not our
That's
way.
not our first
Yeah.
shop, our
Care
first
of.
option. It may be the last resort.
Right.
Opposed to the first option.
Yeah, we joke around and say we hope our kids love us enough to.
Well, but I'm of the thought process. I'm of the thought that especially as working adults like us in our prime, that we don't have to depend on our children to take care of us. In fact, we make the provisions now, make the sacrifices now to put our directives in place and the resources in place, so that our children will be the executor of ensuring that what we and how we want to be, treated, handled, provided for in those relationships. So I mean, but I don't want to be. Well, we should not be burdens to our children in our latter years, and if there are resources that are available that can help us plan for that, so that when we do reach that stage in our lives, that our families can focus more on spending time with us opposed to spending on us.
Yeah.
But and realities for a lot of people, especially for Florida, we're not paid the best at all. So you have people making $10 an hour, $15 an hour. We're fighting for minimum wage. If you think about how much it costs to have a CNA or HHA take care of a parent one of the lowest rates out there is $14 an hour. So a lot of people aren't making $14 an hour. So for me to hire someone to come in and take care of mom or dad, I don't even make the money to do it.
So that's why, and obviously, when you provide resources to a community, everyone may not be able to benefit from them. But if I can inspire, for example, a working adult, say in my age, mid-40s, who may not be gainfully employed or what one would perceive as gainfully employed, to have the discretionary income to be able to take care of a parent and to be able to afford, the assistance. That's why I have events like the Aviation Expo. Change your circumstance. I'm not going to say change your circumstance and not say how.
Right.
Here are opportunities. You can go to Broward College and you can apply to be a air traffic controller, something you never have thought about.
Right.
Just come on out December 7th, come speak to Broward College, find out what the requirements are. You may be surprised that one, the cost isn't that much. And in fact, they have class sizes of up to 100, and they only have 30 individuals on an annual basis.
Right.
Look how many empty seats there are. Get into a profession now that puts you in the little last 4, 5, even 6 years. You're making 6 figures where you were just making only $10 or $12 an hour. But because you came out on December 7th, 9 o'clock, and went to the Miramar Regional Park at the Miramar Amphitheater, just a quarter mile west of I-75 on Miramar Park. And you went to the Broward College table and said that you saw Mayor Messam talk about this program on the Caribbean Edge program on Facebook and YouTube, and you want to find out more about it. He challenged me to find out so I can change my circumstance. How can I get involved? And opportunities like that is now what, even if it's that one home, 2 homes, 3 homes, 5 homes, that now we have transformed someone's life and provided them an opportunity to change their circumstance so that they can take care of their parents. So that's how I try to address these issues. It may not solve it for everyone, but if you have the drive, if you have the ambition, and if you want to get the information to see how you can take advantage of it, it's there for you.
Yeah, you do have to leave that room and those video games and everything else and head out and get involved. You absolutely do. So thank you for that message to all the young adults and the parents.
And those who are young in spirit.
And young in spirit, there you go. So any parting words, anything you want to share with us?
Well, I would say it's been a great time talking with you. I know, and congratulations on a couple of years in your programming and your recent recognition. That means you're doing a great job, and hopefully this won't be my last visit. And Miramar is on the move. I'm just so excited about the future of our city. I'm currently right now working on the redevelopment efforts in the city of Miramar and East Miramar. We have put in over nearly $200 million in infrastructure improvement. East Miramar has a brand new water treatment facility. We are putting in storm water management systems and new water distribution systems. Residents in East Miramar has the most advanced state-of-the-art water treatment facility, while other cities in this country are worried about lead and aging infrastructure. Before I became mayor, one of the main things was that people in the East felt left behind. They say everything is new in the East, new in the Central, and no one is paying attention to us. But I was committed to make sure that at least while I'm in office, that we would do things in East Miramar to set the future for the next 20, 30 years, while not leaving the residents in the community behind. So as we prosper, we want everyone to prosper.
You make us want to move to Miramar.
You should move to Miramar.
I love Tamarack though.
I love Miramar. I go to Miramar fairly often. I love Miramar. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on.
Yes,
thanks for joining us.
Yes. And we are extremely proud of you being a Caribbean man.
Yes.
And we thank your family for sharing you with us as a community as well. And keep those fitness goals going, because the more we see you run, the more we're encouraged to run too. And the more you speak about what we can do to enhance ourselves. We're all telling our stories to make a difference to each other and the next generation. So we thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
Ciao for now, ladies and gentlemen. Take care until next week.
See you then. Have a great evening.
Bye-bye.